Good evening, and we've already blown our resolution of being prompt and timely.
We're
First one of the year, and we're 3 minutes late.
No, we didn't really have that as a resolution, but we are a few minutes late getting started. Ooh.
Whoa, all the sounds. We all logged in at the same time. Hello.
Slight delay. Echo. We are CCSK Law, and this is our weekly foray into tips from the bar. Our little just sort of chat about what's happening in the world. And
let's talk about
opportunity for you to post questions if you have them. We're a law firm here located in Valparaiso, Indiana. We are pretty broad, actually. I used to think of us as like limited, but the more we like spend time in things, we cover a lot of areas of the law. In case you have not yet joined us in a previous, where have you been?
Is there
we've been here every Tuesday. Where have you been?
Right. Is there a law against it being too cold out? Because there
I
should
wish. If they can pass a law against that Netflix thing, there ought to be a law. We were talking about global warming. There ought to be a law that if you're going to claim there's global warming, you have to require there's global warming.
There has to be warming.
There has to actually be warming.
Well, it's a degree warmer than it was at one point sometime in the past.
I would take that degree times 10. When I woke up this morning and saw my phone and said 12 below, I just rolled back over. I thought, do I really have to go back on? We're to go outside today. Can we take today off too?
I wasn't sure if actually we had a few meetings lined up today and stuff, and I wasn't sure if we were going to have them. I was like,
I had meetings with clients and people showed up.
They did show up. Though.
Yeah,
every meeting.
Jenny showed up. We met with Jenny from Valpo Life today. She was here. Trooper
awesome.
That she is.
By here, we're at the office because of how cold it is.
Right.
Like there's shut down.
Yeah.
We decided we're just going to be here, pushing through it.
Call me lazy, but I didn't want to start my car and warm it up for 15 minutes to drive.
30 seconds.
30 seconds to shut it off to have to warm it up again for 15 minutes. So we were here and Kurt was coming in. We were seeing Jordan tonight. She is with a client.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But Kurt, Isaac, RG, we are CCSK Law. Jordan being the other C.
Tonight we are CSK Law.
Yeah, so
normally we are CCSK.
Jordan on assignment.
Yep.
So new year, new resolve to do new things. Kurt and I are taking on a challenge to
Pure Fit Loss Challenge.
Mine's buried under my watch. Pure Fat Loss
bracelets for that.
Yeah.
Just to remind us when we're going for the brownies.
Right.
Is there
exactly. So we started yesterday, and we're underway. 12-week program to try to change the way you approach
ideally
food and such.
At the end of the year, or at least at the end of 3 months, we'll be able to take all of our tips from the bar and do like the first couple seconds and go, and you'll be able to see us shrink.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of cool.
Like a time lapse.
Yeah.
Like we had like the opening shot each week, and we could like watch Kurt and I shrink.
I'm gonna keep working out, and I'm gonna you'll see
me getting bigger and bigger.
You'll see me get bigger.
And there's actually people in it that are just there to gain muscle and get bigger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's not a weight loss program. In fact,
a fat challenge, so it could be putting
it's fat. It's a fat loss. So you're changing your
gain muscle.
Yeah, your fat makeup, and so the Justin Savage who does this program, he talks about the fact that in fact he doesn't want to see you lose weight too fast because at some point your body will start to invade your muscle, and he wants you to build muscle, replace it with fat. So a lot of what we're trying to
replace the fat with muscle.
Oh, that's right. I'm still living in the old world.
that came up a little longer. We don't want to get any misconceptions out there, because if that's the case, I won.
Right, we won. But anyway,
had I known that, maybe I would have thought about it.
There you go. A little fat. So anyway, that's new for Kurt and I. We'll see how it progresses. Not like putting it out there and then it being documented.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's like super accountability.
Next week, we're going to have a nice large pizza here in the middle. That was fun last week.
Yeah, pitcher of beer and all that.
Well, you're going to look at your bracelet, and I'm going to eat the entire thing.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I've got
that's conveniently covered up by my watch. So if I feel weakened.
Are you left-handed?
There you go.
No, but that's the one I always put that stuff on.
Oh, well, I wear watches on left hand, but this way I have to be too much on one-handed.
So anyway, but yeah, new year.
That's where we're at.
Us working towards new us, new tax bill.
Still in our new office.
In effect. There's some other stuff
2018. We got
that landed. Well, you mentioned the Netflix thing. Is there something backed up?
No,
on
I
that?
didn't. I didn't get a chance. So I saw an article. Someone was claimed there was some. It was like Fortune magazine. It was in Fortune magazine. They were talking about how sharing your Netflix password can now be considered a federal crime. And I didn't get a chance to read it and go through how it is, but I don't think that that's possible. But you never know. I mean, it could be some sort of a. If you have a brother or cousin and it's not in the state, maybe it's something with crossing state lines. And
that could be.
yeah, I mean, who knows how they could come about it. Now, I might actually look it up while you guys are talking and see what
If you are sharing your Netflix password across state lines and you want to talk to an attorney,
don't call us.
then don't call us.
Yeah. Ooh, I almost did it again. So we were talking about this earlier, learning how to, like Facebook, the randomness of Facebook. Let's see if we can tag everybody. I see you all already joined. Wonder if that makes a difference. Should I be able to? Let's see. You are not there.
See,
I could tag Isaac Hayes.
Well, that's
but he's saying
pretty
Shaft.
close.
Is that Shaft? He's saying
he's deceased.
Shaft. Oh, he's got a Facebook page.
No,
I think
that's not you.
No, that looked kind of like me. Yeah, that's almost me, but not quite.
Not quite. So I don't know.
So yeah, that's strange that you can't tag me in there. I don't understand.
Makes no sense. I wonder if I can do myself. I don't know.
Okay, so here's what it is. So
I can't even get me.
The Ninth Circuit U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals found that sharing passwords are ground for prosecution under Computer Fraud and Abuse Act.
Okay.
Computer Fraud and Abuse Act.
Mm-hmm.
The ninth. They're way out there in the West and way out there
shocked?
on their own ranch.
Could you have guessed?
They're out there in their own little judicial ranch. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. Oftentimes they're the yin to another district's yang that drives decisions to the Supreme Court.
Yeah. When, a lot of times, if there's a circuit court split, basically, if you have federal district courts, so that's like the lowest level of the federal levels, and then you go up to a court of appeals, and there's 13 different court of appeals, and if there's a split between them, one of them says yes and the other says no, a lot of times Supreme Court will take it up and take those cases and then make a decision about that. So when he's talking about fast tracking that thing to Supreme Court, Ninth Circuit is often on one side of that. And the Supreme Court sometimes fines for them, sometimes they fine in the other direction, but that's kind of the procedure. There's a good 101 for you. The procedure of how the federal courts work and how things get to the Supreme Court, at least through the federal court.
Yeah, to kind of bring it for people to understand that the district courts in our area, we're in the seventh appeal district, or under the Seventh Circuit of Appeals,
along with Illinois and Wisconsin.
Right, and so our district courts, we have a northern district and a southern district in Indiana. But in Hammond, there's a federal district court. In South Bend, there's a federal district court, and in Lafayette, there is that would be the other northern
branch
district.
Of Hammond.
Yeah, Lafayette does not stand alone; it's an extension of Hammond. South Bend and Hammond are really the primary ones. Indianapolis is in the south.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and then
which is odd because you would think that I always feel.
But
like
is there another court? Is there another location? Do they have like a south?
There might be in like Evansville.
Yeah.
Okay.
But actually, for some reason, Evansville was crossing my mind.
Yeah.
So that we're talking about the districts of federal district in Indiana. There are two, Northern District and Southern District. But then there's different courts which we'll hear from the Northern District and then from the Southern District. And then Illinois has their own districts, and Wisconsin has their own districts. And you put all those districts together, you get the Seventh Circuit, and that is what we're in, Seventh Circuit.
And they're in Chicago.
Yep.
They have.
Oh, there's also Fort Wayne, which is part of the Northern District. So you got Fort Wayne, Hammond, Lafayette, and South Bend.
I think Fort Wayne might be similar to Lafayette in that it's an extension of South Bend.
Yeah, South Bend I know was the main one because I worked there for a bit.
Yeah.
So that's definitely possible because they list Lafayette in here separate too, even though it's sort of an extension of Hammond.
Yeah.
And the Southern District
But if you're going to federal court, sometimes it's more convenient to either go to Fort Wayne or Lafayette rather than drive all the way to South Bend. So they, for convenience, they put courts off around.
And when would you go to a federal court? Why would you be brought into federal court?
Great question. Well, there's a few different reasons to be brought into federal court. One, federal question. Federal question means that you have some major question that directly is on point with a federal statute, much like a computer act passed by Congress.
There you go.
You're in violation of that, and therefore you can get dragged into federal court. And just like all other courts, there's criminal and civil. So
equal employment opportunity type claims.
Yes,
That's
if you're
EEOC.
violating EEOC, equal opportunity employment discrimination, the feds have taken that one up. So there's statutes on that, and so the violations of that will be brought into federal court. There's also constitutional questions. If you have a question about the Constitution of the United States of America, your amendments have been violated from the Bill of Rights, that can get you into federal court. But they're also diversity jurisdiction. So what that means is that if Kurt here is from Illinois or Wisconsin or from Michigan or from any other state other than Indiana.
Why would you do that to me?
Right? And I am from Indiana, good old Hoosier. Well, Kurt comes over.
You're going to get treated better than me just because you're from Indiana. So
I will be.
Sure, we have to make sure it go to federal.
Yeah.
He's a powerful kind of guy.
I'm a very powerful guy. So Kurt drives over from Alabama, and he comes up and he punches me in my face. Oh no! And I'm a beautiful model, right? Like I'm a professional model for a living.
Definitely going
good.
far with it.
So hey, wait.
This
is a good hypothetical. Let me have
You're getting too deep in the weeds.
You lose the camera so you can draw it on the board.
It's too fictitious now.
Oh, fine. All right. But either way, he causes me damage that's over $75,000. Like it's a lot of money that he does me damage.
I mean, I got a good right hook. I don't know.
He's got real good right hook. It's $75,000 worth of damage to this good-looking mug, right? And so, because he's in Alabama, if I were to take him to court in Indiana, well, people in Indiana are probably going to be more favorable to me. So what they do is say, okay, we're going to let them go into federal court. And so we can get into diversity, because we're from two different states, diversity into federal court.
Unless I were to submit to the jurisdiction of the state court.
Unless you want to submit to, if I want to submit to a state court and he's like, yeah, all right, I don't care if Indiana's biased against him. I'll just get this done and over with. Let's do it. Okay. Then he can submit to the jurisdiction of the state court. But if he wants to, he can say, no, this needs to go to federal court so I can have a fair hearing, because federal is less likely to be biased by your local set of peers within just a small state within a small part of Indiana.
So incidentally, Southern District, Indianapolis, Terre Haute, Evansville, and New Albany.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So 2 districts in Indiana, 2 federal district courts, but multiple locations throughout Indiana for your convenience.
Now, the other reason you might try to move it, why you might move something to federal court if you're the person that can do that, is it's going to drag the process out immensely.
Oh, yeah.
Federal courts are way backed up. There's in some of those civil cases, there's required not arbitration, but mediation, or is it arbitration? A lot of the federal courts require mediation.
Oh, they usually do mediation.
Yeah, mediation.
Again, to try to lower the number of cases that are actually having to tie up time in the court. So you may use it as a tactic to draw it out, to try to get a settlement. Again, then if you end up in appeals, you're talking about another year plus down the road to get back in front of a court. So it's a tactic that an attorney might use, or someone who's savvy about how the court structures work. If I can push it into federal court, again, it might be a fairer opportunity for me. It's not the local court where everybody knows me. Or how damaged Isaac's modeling career has been.
Right. I mean, all his fans are here.
Yeah. But if we push it into federal court, they don't know anybody.
On the other hand, too, another reason the federal court is if you're doing a bankruptcy. That's handled in federal court here, and bankruptcy court in South Bend and over in Hammond there. And those are the ones that I've worked out of.
So they have a specific bankruptcy court, or do you just go to any, or do you just run through the district?
Well, you just run it. It's a specific bankruptcy court, but through that federal district.
Okay.
So it's almost like a division.
Okay.
Probably more than it's standalone. I mean, it's not. I mean, most stuff you just go to the trustee. You're not really in the court much, so it's all.
And we're talking about another federal level area, which is patent law, and some of the IP stuff. That's a federal. That's a federal law. So copyright. I mean, those are things that are civil rights. I mean, there's things that are up there at that federal level. That's where you have to take it, and in order to bring those laws to protect you, or if someone's suing you on behalf of them. So So that's the trip through the federal court, and you have to go through that federal process to get to the Supreme Court.
Well,
and so eventually you go through, or
no, not necessarily. Not necessarily the other way that you can get to it, but it's much longer.
it's a
right?
much longer process, right?
If you
through
wanted
the
to
whole
go
state
through
process.
if you go through all of the state process, right? You go to the state in Indiana state district or superior court,
circuit,
right? Then you go up to the next level to our court of appeals, and then after that we have an Indiana Supreme Court, but you can then appeal it again and go up to the United States Supreme Court, but.
Right.
That's obviously
Time
a
and
whole nother level.
Time
and
and money.
And basically, whenever you go to those appellate levels, you basically ask their permission to be brought before them.
Mhm.
You have to appeal to the appellate level and
you
say,
do.
hey, wait a minute, they did me wrong.
Right.
I need to be brought up. And again, every time you go up, the funnel gets smaller. More cases are getting shoved in there. It's a longer process. So again, that's why a lot of stuff is settled out.
Sure.
But once you have a judgment, it's kind of hard to settle on the backside, especially if you're in a criminal side.
So,
But-
did you see Tyler's comments?
So damaged, it says. I'm not.
So damaged.
And then I replied to this, that due to the Isaac conversation, he said, yeah. So we need to be careful. We're hurting our audience right now.
Yes.
The idea of you as a high-end model that
I know.
a bunch of the faces is going to cost you more than $75,000 is disturbing
Tyler is
to
a
people.
big fan of mine. I'm a big fan of his. I'm a big fan of his beard. You should see this man's beard.
I'm kinda seeing
And it's
fantastic.
red. It's like,
Yeah. Oh, full red beard. It's
it's
fantastic.
Irish,
right?
man.
Oh yeah. No.
He needs to go to Notre Dame and see if they need a mascot. He can go.
Maybe.
Okay.
He was here in Indiana. He's
Leprechaun.
actually out in North Carolina now.
Oh, he is.
but
I didn't
yeah.
know that.
He does a lot of
Congrats.
great marketing for companies. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no, he's a good
I
guy.
work with a
Like
number
him a
of
lot.
businesses, and Tyler Johnson. Yeah, he does a good job with just online marketing, talking about SEO and all that. Beard
Funny
life
stuff.
Yeah, shout out.
Right there, man.
That's right. I'm sorry.
You know
RJ. Yeah, you'll.
I don't have
Yeah.
a desire to have a beard. I
What-
can't handle it.
But I was just told today,
That's good.
by your friend that apparently I want to keep this because it's going to help my face look young in 60 years.
Yeah. See, I'm already
Really?
too close to that.
Or no, when I'm 60.
When
That's
you're
what it is.
60.
When I'm 60.
See, I think being overweight makes me look younger because it keeps my skin fuller in my face. I'm a little concerned that if I lose weight, it's going to be
Saggy.
saggy and wrinkly because it's
Oh,
not all
Creepy.
pushed out.
I have to watch that creepy infomercial.
Well, their
What's
face-
that?
That was like how to stop crepey skin or something like that.
I've never
face-
heard of that.
Face workouts. You gotta.
No, it's like
Wow.
some magic powder or cream or whatever it is. So
So
maybe
okay. I'm gonna
Regards to Ralph
break to the
Lauren
side for a second. Has anybody watched this show on Amazon Prime called The Marvelous Miss Maisel?
no.
It was just recommended to me, but I haven't seen it.
Oh my gosh, it is hilarious. I highly recommend it. Totally inappropriate, totally hilarious. And it's set back in the 50s. And so the interesting thing is just you were talking about the facelift, doing the different things. So the wives that we've seen in this show, they go to bed in full makeup and dressed hair. And then after their husband's sound asleep, they get up and they hold their skin up and they tape it up and they put their creams on and blah, blah, blah. And then they wake up about a half an hour before the guy so they can take it all off and put their makeup back on and lay down in bed so the
What?
husbands never know that they were ever not that good
Huh.
looking at all the time. It's just amazing. It just blew my mind. But it's a great show. I highly recommend it. And it's totally not what I thought it was going to be. It's just because
What's it called?
It's called The Marvelous Miss Maisel, I believe.
I've
Yeah.
seen previews for it.
Yeah, and it's
on-
through Amazon Prime, and it's it's probably one of the better shows that I've seen in a long time because it really is witty and it's just hilarious and a little bit vulgar, but it's funny vulgar. So,
That's fantastic.
Yeah, we've been on Parks and Rec binge when my daughter
Love that
comes
show.
home.
Hey, yeah, that's
except for the
fantastic.
last season, but that's okay.
I didn't see
What?
we haven't gotten
I
there yet.
really enjoyed the last season.
It wasn't bad. It was odd.
I thought they took their time wrapping up all the storylines.
Well, they were supposed to quit the season before, and they decided to stretch one more.
Were they?
They switched it out.
Oh, well, there was so much.
And so that's why it changed so
I'm not going to spoil anything. Have you seen it yet?
I've seen so much. I mean, I think I've seen bits and pieces of every season. It's not like they watch it from beginning to end.
We will come back to this when you've finished all of them. And
I think I saw the last episode.
oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the last couple episodes where she's going through her election stuff and her unelection stuff. And so yeah,
Yeah.
it's an interesting show. I love the
Yeah.
fact it's set in Indiana
Yes.
and
Funny.
some of the just vague. They had detless shrimp in several things.
And they go to Indianapolis. a
Yeah,
few
they go to
times,
Indianapolis.
which I think is
Oh, yeah.
hilarious and just
Oh, yeah.
cracks me up.
So yeah, there was my wife actually checked out the book from the library that that Leslie Knope wrote in the show. There's actually that book.
Yeah.
It's actually
library?
published, and it's in the library.
Oh, no kidding.
The history
Wow.
of Pawnee.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right.
Where the one fact you
With
got
the
wrong.
One fact, the one
Yeah.
mistake.
We won't
say it.
in case you haven't seen
No
it.
spoiler alerts.
Because it is on Netflix, but
Note for president, Tyler says.
yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a well written show.
Very much so.
One of the things that we were kind of, because we got started a little bit late, we don't have a ton of time, but we were talking about trying to be, come up with some topics that will lead out into going forward.
Mm-hmm.
But we were chatting today with, as I mentioned, Jenny from Valpo Life, and she's not an attorney. So we bounce things off of her, and we forget we're in our little attorney world sometimes, and she talked about the fact that some of these things that we
take for granted.
Sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
But we also know that there's frustration. We talk about lowering hurdles all the time, so we're going to kind of set a time in each of our little shows to talk about maybe just an education type of thing. One of the big things: when do I call an attorney, or how do I choose an attorney? What makes one attorney the right person versus another? So just kind of breaking those into little modules.
We should do a poll. We should do a Facebook poll and see what people think, and ask about maybe different topics, or ask about would you guys like to see something in addition to tips from the bar, like a separate, because tips from the bar is just fun no matter what, but it's also good information. But maybe have.
Did you just do jazz hands?
I did jazz hands.
He did jazz
You want
hands.
sparkle fingers instead? Sparkle fingers.
So maybe have something on the side that's a little more serious, a little more directed towards a specific topic, where maybe one of us takes our particular area and goes one-on-one with you guys and just says, hey, we're doing this, and this is what's going on. What do you think?
I love how you went something a little more serious when after he got done saying that, I was literally thinking, well, we need a jingle clearly to get us education time
right
with CCSK Law.
Like turn the page.
Yep.
Podcast, Tyler says. Yeah, we could do a podcast.
Yeah,
podcasts are always good.
I think, and we were talking about this, I've been working on some just breaking down things in video, especially as it pertains to
like
probate right now. And because, again, I just keep running into people who are confused by the process.
Sure.
I did have a client today that, as we were talking, again, the other big one out there is, everybody needs a will. And she said, well,
persistent.
I know it's a great marketing campaign, but she said, well, I thought a will kept me out of probate. And I said, no, it's absolutely the instructions for probate. So, but, the question was, well, why did you get a will? Mm-hmm. Well, A, she thought she was going to stay out of probate, and B, she just was told everybody needs a will. So, not that her plan as we did it didn't include a will, but
sure,
but it was part of a larger conversation. And I think as we break those things down into little bite-sized pieces, then put that out there for people, and we can, kind of promote them in this forum for people to go deeper.
Right.
And the thing that Jenny brought up was what she got a ticket, a driving ticket, right, for speeding, and she was like, okay, I'll take care of it.
The thing was, because if you get a speeding ticket or what were some of the other ones we were talking about?
DUI.
Like if you get a DUI and things like that, all of a sudden you can get flooded in your mailbox.
Yeah. Basically anything that puts you in the court record.
Anything that puts you in the court record. Yeah. Somebody's gonna all of a sudden you get flooded by attorneys, and so the comment was, oh my gosh, do I need an attorney for this?
She's like, I didn't think I need an attorney.
It's one of those situations where when she just didn't know all the attention to it from the other attorneys saying, hey, was like, wow, is this really, do I need an attorney for a ticket? Why? Mm-hmm. What does it mean? And it was very confusing. And she said, that'd be a great topic. But it's topics like that. It's the little things that we kind of look at each other like, oh, well, I just assume that people know this is what you do. That you don't. And so things like that might be helpful.
Yeah.
Well, and we were talking about even just how do you wade into the pool of figuring out an attorney to even talk to. I mean, we talk about we use practice terms, and sometimes those don't always make sense for people, or they think they have an idea, but what makes this attorney the right person for that topic versus this attorney? I mean, you say all the time, I do this portion, but if we get into litigation, I got a guy for that.
I got a guy for that.
So
because it happens to be a guy, I'd also say I got to go for that.
I got a gal for that. Yeah. But I think again, where we try to focus on our areas, there are people out there still have general practices and do a broad array of things. But at some point, you're going to run out. I mean, there are just things that we just don't know,
Right.
And I think we're good about trying to draw those lines. I'm going to go this far, and then we have to bring somebody
Let's
else.
face it. There's a lot of attorneys that don't know everything and refuse to admit it.
Yep.
And that can only hurt their client, as far as we're concerned.
So, what the analogy that keeps coming to my mind is you don't want the sports therapy doctor doing brain surgery, right? Two completely separate things. But at the same time, that brain surgeon should not be doing sports therapy,
Right?
Like they are both are MDs, both are medical doctors. These are all JDs, but very different things. The consequences
we're rewatching Lost, and Jack, the main character on there, is a spinal surgeon. He's doing pretty much everything on the island. He's doing all kinds of stuff.
I'm sure any doctors watching this would be like, yeah, they could do any of that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I think in a pinch, you might.
But you wouldn't go there for the ability to say, "Hey, I need you to operate on my brain, Mr. Spinal Surgeon."
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You're not asking for it. But if you're never in a pinch and it's like, "Hey, I'm going to die unless I get this done," go for it. You're the best shot.
Yeah.
Just like all lawyers have general knowledge about other things of law. I mean, there's principal aspects of it, but nobody's memorized all the statutes or all the laws or everything that goes in place, all the regulations out there. But
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And so we have general ideas of things. I mean, you can ask me about criminal or litigation and all that, and I have general knowledge about that to the extent that I can go talk to another attorney and have an intelligent conversation with them. But that attorney will be the one who focuses on that area so much in their practice that they will have better knowledge and capability to be able to handle that aspect. Yeah,
absolutely.
Tyler chimed in again.
Yeah, I gave a suggestion on how we might break that down.
Yeah, maybe break it down different aspects.
Do like a weekly thing.
Yeah.
Especially when we want the business law.
So we appreciate the thoughts there, Tyler. But yeah, as we started thinking about diving into 2018, and we've been doing this for a little over half a year now, and just trying to make sure we're building some structure and make it a good resource for people, and then be able to go deeper. So if there is some other video or some other blog or something we can reference deeper in the website, we can always point people to that, or put it in the comments or something like that. So that's great. That's kind of the way we talked about kicking off the year, and
it's going to be a good one.
Very confusing week. I mean, I don't know if y'all are having that issue too. I know last week was this week.
It's still a holiday week, but it's not.
But it's like, is it Monday? No, it's Tuesday.
Yeah. It's people trying to get back into it. I know that's what I'm doing. I'm getting back into it. I've just been
I've got court at 9 o'clock in the morning, so I'm going to be back into it.
You're right back into it. You're right there.
At least you didn't have it today at 9.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I could not imagine jumping back into court that quick.
Yeah. From my understanding, court was still open. I
got a call from the court. I had to set a hearing.
Yeah.
So I had a hearing set. So
yeah,
which excites me.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We all love court.
Right. Well, this is one of those situations where we've got to do it, and it's the best way to get to the answer. So hopefully everybody will be on the same page. Unfortunately, we couldn't get everybody on the same page without going to court. But that's why they're there. We tried. They're not. Everybody can't see eye to eye, so we go to the court. We put the matter out there for a neutral third party to assess the circumstances. So when we have to do it, we have to do it.
Yep.
But we don't feel that way about Tips from the Bar. We love doing Tips from the Bar.
So yeah, we do.
This is a fun one.
Yeah.
Always enjoy doing this.
Yeah. So again, thanks. If you're watching this later, you can always add comments, and we get notifications on that. And we'll try to reply as it's appropriate. The likes and comments are very much appreciated. If you have questions, we do have a fair amount of information on our website as far as what's happening in various aspects of business law, or family law, or immigration, or estate planning, and probate and like. So you can always visit us at ccskaw.com. There's a message box there. If you have a specific question you'd like us to address, you can leave it there for us. We can't answer like absolutely specific legal questions directly that way, but it's a good way to start the process.
If you're along the way, you have very, very specific questions that you need answered, maybe it's time to give us a call and set up a meeting with us.
And that's usually what will happen. If somebody gets super specific in the message box, we're going to have to call you back, because there's going to be some exchange of information and setting some expectations of what we do, what we can't do. And I think that's one of the things we talked about, defining for people a little more clearly when do I call it? I'm mad, so Yeah, and
Yeah.
this is actually one of the things that
Just jump.
we were
Yeah,
talking
just
about
jump on.
because it used to be it's how do you search for an attorney because
Dead on.
We were
there are
talking about
still
Google
a
searches
ton
this
of them in
morning.
the yellow pages.
Yeah.
They in restaurants are going to be the only thing left in the phone book, and medical professionals, I guess. But now you Google attorneys and you get a result. But what do you do with that result? What's loading that, and what should you look for? So I think that's one of the things we'll address.
We'll address it because there are times when you'll search for an attorney and you'll get an attorney. You'll search for a specific attorney.
Right.
People say, I'm smart. I'm going to Google and I'm going to say bankruptcy attorney. And then you might get one that's like something they do once every 5 years, but their main practice is family law.
Right.
Or it's something that they used to have an associate who did, but now
and
they
they
no
didn't take it
longer
off their
do.
webpage, so
Yeah.
it still shows
Yeah, and it
up.
never took off
Exactly.
the- There's a number of times we're Googling something like, they don't do that.
Right.
What are they doing on there? We
Right.
know that.
We know they don't
do that.
Well, and part of it is the SEO game. I mean, you pack certain keywords in there to try to draw traffic, and again, it's one of those things where you kind of got to know what to look for. So follow the link, kind of scout around the pages, and depending on what your actual need is, look for where it is a priority on the page.
That will be one we hit up on tips from the bar at some point.
Yeah, that's one of the things we were
That's
kind of
definitely
talking
one
about.
thing.
Even just how do you get started? When do you get started? Again, what's a harm? Do I really have a matter that's worth paying an attorney to? And do I have to be concerned about the attorney charging me as soon as the phone rings? I think that's another. How do you know when you should be charged and what you should be charged and such? So that's kind of laying out the future. Again, we appreciate Jenny stopping in and brainstorming with us today.
Yeah,
and helping us.
thanks,
Tyler, we appreciate you chiming in
Tyler.
as well and helping us continue to form up this concept as we go forward. Nothing like planning your 2018 marketing.
Check us out
in 2018.
There we go. If you have an
Check out
idea
us
for a
at
jingle, let us know. I'm rooting for that.
Don't believe in hype. Wait,
CCSK.
Oh, that was good. No, I'm sorry.
What's the old WKRP in Cincinnati? There's got to be something we can play off of that. CCSK Law in Valpo.
you're on WKRP in Cincinnati. That was the theme song. I don't know if they had like an actual jingle.
Welcome to CCSK Law in Valpo.
That's good.
Something like that, right?
That's
Yeah,
good.
there you go.
Did we got that right?
It's recorded.
It's recorded. Oh, Lordy, it's recorded.
No, we're getting some likes
Yeah,
on
your
it.
number of likes for that one.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
All right, everybody.
Well,
Thank
we'll be smaller this time next week, slightly, hopefully perceivable.
It'd be noticeable.
Yeah,
Bigger.
So
I'm thinking it's going to take at least 2 of the 3 months to where I get noticeable. I don't know.
I'm hoping sooner. I need clothes to fit better.
I would like some results to be able to spur me on and get me
Yeah.
excited about it.
Yep.
So, thank you for joining us.
Your
Check us out.
accountability partner checked in.
That's right.
Just right there at the end.
Love you. That's my
So-
wife for everybody that needs it.
Not just some general person.
Not some random dude that I'm accountability partners with.
But anyway, so everybody have a great night. Stop by and visit us at ccSKlaw.com. And again, appreciate you watching. Good night.
Have a good one.
Good night.
Good night.